I call this City Commission regular meeting of the City of Pahokee to order at 6:02 p.m. May we please stand for the invocation provided by Commissioner McPherson Sr., followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we just thank you for another opportunity coming for your presence. Father, we ask that you just give us wisdom and understanding to be able to move your city forward, Father. Father, we ask that we be able to work in a spirit of unity, Father, so that for the better and for the good of the community, Father, and the city of Pahokee. Father, we give you all the praise, we give you all the honor, in Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Babb,
Present.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
Commissioner Bowden,
Present.
Commissioner Cowan Williams,
Present.
Commissioner McPherson,
Present.
Interim City Manager,
Present.
City Attorney. Here. Interim Clerk is present.
Thank you, City Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, staff. And most importantly, thank our listening audience for being here today to participate and witness our regular commission meeting of July 9th, 2024. At this time, we'll follow the agenda as presented. City Manager, do we have any additions on emergency basis?
No additions, but I will remind you that we had added agenda items that you should have received as of yesterday. So just make sure you receive those. And the reorder, with that additional, we'll have to reorder the agenda to include under presentations, number 5 now with the business of the month. In that business of the month, the Rockwell's Barbershop LLC, and the adding of resolutions 2024-22, 2024-23, and 2024-24. Those that are recommended add-ons, which change the original.
Were there any additions, deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
Thank you. City Commission, having heard the city manager indicate that there wasn't any original add-ons. There were just a few at the previously. We received these add-on, I think yesterday, and the resolutions that was added to the agenda. Having heard that, what is your pleasure?
Mayor Babb, I move to accept the agenda with the additions, number 5, Employee of the Month, and resolutions 2024-22, 2024-23, and 2024-24.
I'll second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Bowden and properly second by Commissioner Williams for the agenda as presented with the add-ons that was indicated. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Bowden,
Yes.
Commissioner Cowan Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner McPherson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Babb.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passed by unanimous vote. Now we move to our presentation, proclamation, public service announcements, public comments. At this time, City Clerk, do we have any public comments? Cards completed.
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we'll move into our presentations. At this time, I have the city manager introduce the presenters as they come forward.
Yes, Mayor. We have several presentations listed. I'm not seeing some of the presenters here yet, so I'll take it. It'll be slightly out of order. We have Mr. Jose Mendez representing Hatch 1121 is here, is going to present.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Jose Mendez. Could you play the presentation? I'm the creative director for this program that we just started here in Pahokee 4 weeks ago. It's Public Art and Experiences. What we've been creating for the last 4 weeks is a public art installation that will be presented in Pahokee. If you take a look at the slides, it will coincide with what I'm speaking about. What we've been doing with the students here at the camp is we've been working on different medias every week. And why Pahokee? This kicked off 2 years ago in Lake Worth, and last year it was in Belglade. We were fortunate to be in contact with Mr. Greg, the manager of Parks and Recs, and he introduced me to Ms. Tasha, and we were able to schedule our classes with the summer camp. What we've been learning in the last 4 weeks is how to get our emotions out with art. And you'll see why we choose art. Art, 1, because it helps retain education. 3, it's therapeutical. For me, it's very therapeutical, and it helped me be able to take the load of life when I create artwork. And of course, children love art. The program is funded completely by the Children's Services Council, and it is driven by my small agency, Art.Arts and Creative Agency. Each week we have myself and 3 other teaching artists, and what we have going on is that it lasted 4 weeks. And during the 4 weeks, the students learn a different media. And while they learn a different media, the students get the chance to work on their design on a mock table, a very small table. I brought the winners with me today, and I can share them with you as we progress. The medias used are collage, clay, colored pencil, and watercolor. And our final class is this Friday. It's an all-day class from 10 o'clock to 4 p.m. And during this class, we're actually taking the designs that we're creating onto these small tables, and they're being painted onto a life-size picnic table. Week 1, what did we learn? Week 1, we learned how to create our collages. We brought several different types of medias, from printouts to stickers to different magazines and hole punchers, glue, and anything that will help us be creative. During the class, we also spray painted the base color of our picnic table. As you can see, some of the students chose their favorite color. That's the color that goes onto the table, and it helps cover the table quicker. The following week, we began working onto our bird's eye view sketch, but before we always warm up by using a different media, and the media for that week was clay. We used clay tools. I showed the students how to create a pinch spot. When the students created a pinch spot, they were awed by the process on how simple it is and the ability to add different designs to it. Once they were done with their pinch spot, the students created got to freestyle with the remaining material that they had. Week 3, we began to actually add the designs that were sketched. All of the students had a mini picnic table, and they began to design their mini mock tables. Week 4, which was this past Monday, well, yesterday, was fast. 1, we created watercolor designs using watercolors. I always provide the students with a design that I create personally and then I give them a blank one so they can come up with whatever design they came up with. As you see on the screen, football is very important in the community. We also learned, based on the designs that were created by the students, we had a lot of football designs. During this class, we also voted, the students got a chance, students, staff, and the teaching artists got a chance to vote on their top 6 designs, because the top 6 designs go onto the final cut and are the tables that are created. This is Poppy, I believe, Anthony. I forget if it's Papa or Poppy, but that's what the students call him. And he is one of the winners of the designs that will actually come onto life. I'm going to share a brief video of what we created on Belglade so it gives you a better understanding of what we're doing here.
I think it's a part of the creative process to kind of start off with things that we all see on an everyday basis. Creative expression and expressing in general is very important for teens. I think that's really important for them to have the confidence to know that they can do things in this world. This project is an opportunity for the students to create art that's going to be in their surrounding community. They're from Belgrade, Florida. Florida is just the Sunshine State. I think it's just a kind of natural thing for them to paint.
I started working on canvas with pencils and Sharpies. From there, I started creating and using spray paints. I became a teaching artist for different ages, from adults to children, and I had to learn different media. So I am a self-taught artisan. My style of artwork has a lot of what they call Catrinas, sugar skulls, Day of the Dead artwork, Mesoamerican, Aztec, and Maya. The core of me teaching is identity. I think a lot of us don't find our identity until we're older, and if I'm able to help a student while they're creating artwork and then reminding them that their heritage is rich, to me that's my ultimate goal. The artworks created on the tables came from the students. Once the 4 designs are picked, we bring them back to the studio to sketch the artwork onto real tables. So what the teaching artists and the students are going to do is paint the actual tables. So we had to do some brainstorming. What is it that you enjoy about the community? What are the great things about your community? And within the artwork, you'll see the great sunsets that only the West get.
They're proud of being from there. They're proud of their heritage. They're proud of the traditions that have built them up to this point. And I feel like them having the voice to even choose the art that they're doing and choose what's being put out into their community, I think that's really important for them to have the confidence to know that they can do things in this world and that their art is actually meaningful.
We forget that the picture is bigger than what we see every day going to our 9 to 5s. There could be situations in your life that, you can't stop thinking about, but once you start creating artwork, that's just a time period where you get to reflect, or even if you're not reflecting, you're just focusing on the artwork and creating. That's what I like about artwork and what I'm able to provide when it comes to being a teacher.
Children truly are an essential part of that community. And for them to be able to create art that's going to be put out into the community is something that I feel like not only connects the children to their outside world, but also shows the outside world what these children are up to, what they're doing.
Thank you. So that is a brief overview of what exactly we've been doing for the last 4 weeks, and our paint day again is this Friday. You are more than welcome to join us. Again, Mr. Greg, being such a great host, along with Ms. Tasha, has accommodated their schedule for a full day of painting. We'll be providing breakfast for the students and lunch. I invite you to drop by and take a look at the process. It's incredible to see the students create something so small and then it comes to life. So what I'm here to do ultimately is to ask you to be able to place these tables that were created custom by a carpenter, local carpenter, and to be placed in locations where they're very visual. I think one of our proposed locations, personally for me, is that every time I do drive out here, I also want to add that I did work out here for 2 years. I started Bridges at Pahokee in 2012 with Miss Cornisha Dukes. But I know I always enjoyed driving to the marina and always just going to have my lunch up there. But as soon as you drive up, there is a small covered table that has no paint on there. I know I've seen it over the years, and I'm like, there's gonna be a table there. There's gonna be a table there. So I'm hoping that you guys allow us to place the table at the marina. Mr. Gregg and I spoke, and we agreed that one under the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Park. There's a picture on the screen. Because it is obviously very hot in Florida, it's better when even though there's a UV coating on there, it's always better when there is a cover. We also like to take care of the tables by putting them on concrete. I am in talks with Lula V. York Library to place one right in the entrance, even though there's a lot of tables over there. And two are going to Pahokee Parks and Recs here in the field. So the community can join them when they're practicing or football games. And then we are hoping that I can place one at the elementary school, and I'm going to ask you for your help for a lead on that. And if there's any suggestions, there's a couple of the tables that aren't concrete. So if you have suggestions to where they're visible, I'm more than open to work on that. And questions?
The class here in Pahokee, what time and place? I believe it's going to be at the rec here.
Yeah, here at the, I think it's a cafeteria.
Cafeteria, okay.
Yeah.
And what day and time?
This
would that
Friday.
be? Okay.
Yeah,
And
10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Their lunchtime is 11:30 to 12:30, I believe. And the students should be done by 3:30. I want to say after lunch is a good time because you'll see a good amount of the base on there and see the color.
In this upcoming class, how many is enrolled?
I'm sorry?
How many students you have here for Pahokee?
How many students?
Yeah.
The first class was big. We started off with I think 32 students. Then we went down to 28. Then we had the third class was 23, and then this Monday was 27. So it's varied, you know. And this is the first time I work with students with ages kindergarten, first, second grade. So I have 3 teaching artists, 4 assistants coming out Friday to get a handle on things, because I call this the TikTok era. It's important to keep the kids busy.
And how many tables are you trying to place?
We have 6 tables. Ideally, we have 3 that I would like in the Pahokee community that is under the city of Pahokee property that I'm asking permission for.
Question. Have you, and I know maybe this is not a part of the program now, but have you ever done like murals on the sides of buildings or something like that?
You're jumping the gun?
I know.
That's a great answer. We can continue that because there's another thing here added too. That we are requesting that we have a ribbon cutting with the Children's Service Council, myself, for July 26th at 12 p.m. if you're available. If it all goes through, but to answer your question is, I have verbal confirmation, but it's in talks to create a mural in a city. And I went to Mural Arts in Philadelphia, where they create community murals, and it's it's an art in itself. Community artists have to have the knowledge of one, be able to work with the community, students, obviously here present with you, and a mixture of things, and work with the funders. So that is a possibility, and tentatively, and I'm talking way ahead of my time, is to start it in, because it is a process, start it have the classes to come up with a design during winter, and then have the community paint the mural during spring break, and then the artist can place the mural up on the wall. It's a process that takes longer to answer, but that's kind of what it looks like. So it isn't, if you're interested, it is something that we can speak about in the future.
Where would the ribbon cutting be?
Ideally, I think just because this is probably just me, my bias, I'm thinking the Pahokee Marina, if we get the permission to place that table there.
Me personally, I don't see it should be a problem. I guess I have to go through city manager, but I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you. You look familiar.
Yeah, me too. I was looking at you when you came in.
Also, I would like to say just a great presentation. I got
Thank
really
you.
excited. I
Thank
like
you.
art myself. I used to do drawing and painting in college, so just
Great.
excited.
I'm gonna pass these down.
So,
you can-
Mr. Justin, will you get back in touch with him on, like, placement? They don't have to come through the commission, does them, about placing the picnic bench?
No, if you conceptually agree with the process and realizing that we're gonna put them in high visible areas, I think that's the overall key. I've met with Mr. Mendez already, and we will continue to be in communication. I plan to be there on Friday, especially when I heard the lunch part. And I think I was very pleased with what I was able to glean from our initial meeting. And the fact that he's in Pahokee and he can be in any other community in Palm Beach County is a testament to our Parks and Rec department and recruiting things that are good for kids here in Pahokee. So to answer your question, yes, I'll continue to meet with him and bring back, once we kind of select all of the areas, I'll bring it back and let you know exactly where those locations will be. But if you have some that was not mentioned, I know he said elementary school, and we have a couple of teachers here on the dais. If there's other opportunities to put it in highly visible areas, we'll definitely take those under consideration.
Thank you.
One of the things that came out of our meeting, I asked, do we have any budding artists that you're working with? And he said, absolutely. You'll be surprised at what we're seeing already early on in the process. So my hope is that this is an introductory to something that could be lasting for students here. It introduces them to a different art form, and it could encourage them to create something that will be lasting for them. So that's a real good part about it.
They'll be able to see their designs in the community, you know. They go to this area, they visit this area, they see that, hey, I created that, you know, especially the two that are gonna go into Parks and Recs, you know, they'll be able to see that. So you can see one has a football design, one has a Blue Devil design, and there is very talented artists, but it's like anything else, just like the students are, young students are out there practicing for football. It's the same thing with arts. You gotta practice too. And just continuing and just finding the passion. And sometimes, you know, it's harder to find that, like I said in the video, and I just try to help with the guidance of that.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Any more questions?
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Dad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor and Commission, we have a representative in Ms. Jefferson representing the Guardian of the Glades and the overall event committee for the Glades Teen Summit.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you guys for having me. On behalf of the Glades Lakes Teen Summit, I thank you guys for allowing us to be able to present here. Sorry, there was a mix-up with the PowerPoint, so I do apologize for that. But I can answer any questions that you may have. Very briefly, I'm going to talk to you about what is the summit. So this upcoming August 2nd through the 4th, we have scheduled a teen summit for all of the areas in the lakes. That's including LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, Belle Glade, South Bay, and Pahokee. And the goal of this is to encourage our youth, specifically our middle school and high schoolers, during this age of technology and during this time of increased youth violence. So we want to provide them an alternative. As someone who works with teens and works with teens in this environment currently, there's a lot of them looking for self-improvement. They're looking for their role models. They're looking for the people in the community, you all, to look up to and to mold themselves into when they grow older. So we want to assist with that by creating this program. So the summit is a 3-day program with transportation provided to and from the hotels, as well as breakfast, lunch, and snacks throughout all days of the summit. On the first day, which starts at about 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., it starts the teen dinner or the networking social. So we want to encourage that business professional networking atmosphere where the students are able to connect with each other, they're able to connect with any of the community leaders there, their parents are able to ask questions before we move all the way into the auditorium inside the Dolly Hand Center where we review the rules. Because one, we want our children to be safe, we want other people's children to be safe, and we want to make sure that we're transparent throughout the entire thing with them understanding the rules, the regulations, and how we're keeping everyone safe and accountable as well. So during that time in the auditorium, one of the staff members will be going through a detailed presentation on what we expect, especially for the teens who are going to the hotel. That's including conduct, bed times, transportation, and all of that. And then we're moving back out to finish the dinner. And then, of course, assigning all of the T-shirts, the wristbands color-coded to their age group so that we keep them separate. And then we're moving on with transportation to the hotels and dismissal for the rest of the students. Then we move on to day 2, which is the meet. This is the big part of the summit. This is where we have our workshops with community leaders, because we really wanted to emphasize your community is where it's at. You have community leaders who are successful, who are looking to impart their wisdom, and we want to give a platform for the teens to be able to connect with each other and those community leaders. So we have workshops that are about 55 minutes each, where they're able to go through different topics like entrepreneurship, leadership, public speaking, mental health, which is a big part of growing up in life. And we have, moving after that, we have a keynote speaker who's flying all the way out from a whole nother state. He is a teen himself. He's 18. He's self-published author. He's a motivational speaker who's renowned across in his state. And the most important thing is that he can connect with the teenagers. He can give them a direction to follow. So we really wanted him to be there as well. So after that, we have, of course, lunch provided by Auntie Rose. She is catering for us, thankfully. And we're able to provide meals and lodging for 400 students. After that, we have Take Stock, which is one of our current sponsors, providing a workshop on professional development, followed by the second half of workshops for our middle schoolers. After that is the entertainment provided by Digital Vibes, and also a panel discussion with other community leaders, including our mayors, hopefully, and especially the mayor of Belle Glade, mayor of Pahokee, and mayor of South Bay, if that's possible, so that they can get a one-on-one talk with the people who are helping manage their city. After that is what's called the jam off. So we know that kids, they don't want to sit there all day. They would like to have some time to relax. So we want to provide a safe, clean, and managed environment where they can relax and unwind and discuss with each other on what they've learned, how are they going to use it in preparation for the third day, which is our closing day. Starting off, on that day, of course, we're providing breakfast, which is thankfully provided by Christ Fellowship. And then we're moving on to the volunteer/community service workshop alongside a parent workshop, because we don't just want the teens to be involved, we want their parents to be involved as well. So during that workshop, we're highlighting how it's so important to give back to your community, to go out and let your voice be heard, but also be educated about the things that are happening around you. Don't be a bystander, and actually put forth the effort to understand what it actually is going on inside. And then after that, we're all regrouping for a small sermon provided by one of our local pastors and an invocation. And then after that, we have dismissal and a thank you to our sponsors, and really highlighting how this is not possible without the community. It's not possible without our leaders, and it's not possible without our teens. Now, circling back all the way, that was a lot of information, and I talk really fast. I just want to highlight that this Teen Summit is actually 100% team-made. So back a couple months ago, we sent out a survey to the local teens in this area, and from start to finish, the teens were able to have input on every single aspect, including the food, the timing, the lodging. Everything is what teens in this area want to see. So we want to help build that up. Now I talk a lot. Questions? I'm sure you have a lot of them.
I have one question. Someone that says, would the summit be live streamed on social media?
So the summit at this current time is not live streamed on social media, mainly for the privacy reasons of the teens that are there. We want this to be inclusive and private environment for them. Of course, we want to be transparent to the parents. We want to be completely transparent to any of our community leaders who are asking what actually is being taught, what is being said, but we don't necessarily want to live stream the whole summit because we want them present.
Where will it be taken? Which auditorium?
It'll be at the Glades Central High School auditorium. I apologize for that.
And the dates again is August?
Friday, August 2nd through Sunday, August 3rd.
So what hotel? I heard you mention the hotel stay.
Yes, ma'am. The hotels are currently located in Clewiston at Best Western and the Hilton.
This for the 3 nights for the kids once they register?
Yes, ma'am. So we provide the accommodation. So if the children are registering and they don't need the hotel accommodation, they're still more than welcome to come. But for those kids who maybe live in LaBelle or Okeechobee who cannot make that commute back and forth, we're providing lodging for them. Yes. Any other questions? Feel free to throw them at me.
How are the students selected to ensure a adequate representation for all communities?
Yes, so we won't deny students, but we are connecting with all of the local high schools, coaches, football teams in certain areas to make sure we have the representation. Like, for example, LaBelle, we reached out to the city manager, the chief of police, and all of the community leaders inside of the school to make sure that their students are aware, and we're going out to those schools to actually sign those kids up in person, which, by the way, we currently have over 200 signups right now. We're nearing the 300 mark, and pretty soon we'll probably be at capacity with our 400.
So your capacity you try to reach is 400?
Yes. We hope to have 400 children, 400 teenagers really ready and willing to learn at the summit.
Any idea how many Pahokee students at this
Currently, a vast majority of them were from Belglade and Pahokee.
Okay.
I believe, if I have to get, I don't have an exact number, but a percentage would probably be about 30% is from Pahokee, with the other one being a mix of Belglade, South Bay, and Clewiston.
I signed my grandson already.
Thank you. I can't wait to see him, man.
I have one question. I heard you
Yes,
say
ma'am.
you're going to provide transportation from the hotel. So the students that are in Pahokee, if they need transportation, will transportation be provided for them?
So to minimize the risk of going back and forth, we're asking everyone to meet at the Dollyhan Cultural Center on
Okay.
Friday. So at Friday at 5 p.m. is when we're asking everyone to meet, go through the requirements, and then at 7:15 on the dot, after all of the chaperones who are vetted by PBSO have gathered all of the students and made sure that the emergency contacts are fine and everyone and the parents are aware that they do have to pick their child up at the end of the summit, then they move from the hotel, and then they don't have to be picked up until Sunday.
Oh, okay. Do y'all have a flyer that you're going to
We
leave
do
with
have a flyer, and I can definitely email that to you. Right now, I have a Teen Summit FAQ page, so if any questions that you have that maybe weren't asked or not on the top of your tongue, they're definitely on that FAQ sheet for you to review. There's also an email there called theglazelakesummit@gmail.com that you can email any other further questions that may not be on the sheet, including questions about the flyer, about how to sign up, and other logistics that you might need to work out through.
think it's gonna be a great for the kids,
Yes.
the teens, rather.
Yeah, so we hope to get the word out. We hope any interested sponsors will please reach out to us. Our current budget is $131,000, with several sponsors already responding to us and putting in for this. We are hoping for contributions from every city, but we also would like maybe volunteers or your time and support in promoting this. So any way you can, we're just asking for assistance in helping our teams grow bigger and grow stronger. So if you don't have any questions for me.
Are the teens being chaperoned?
Of course, at all times of the day they are being chaperoned, especially when it comes to the hotel, which I know is a big risk factor with a lot of people. So the chaperones have, the hotel chaperones have their own separate additional training that they have to go through, and that includes all type of liability, conduct, what to do in this situation, and then their shift. So they will be monitored. All of the children who are in the hotel will be monitored throughout the night with the Clewiston police helping us with security. And then at the summit, there are classroom monitors, classroom inspectors, hallway monitors, and other summit staff patrolling the area at all times, making sure that all the kids are safe, well behaved, and attentive to the sessions. So they're supervised at all times.
That's good.
Well, if you don't have any other questions, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate being here and appreciate every contribution, even just thinking about the summit. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions, please feel the email that's on this paper, and have a wonderful night.
You too,
Thank you, Ms. Jefferson.
Thank you.
We have one additional presentation by Mr. Jonathan Mann from Muck Tavern. I don't see him. He hasn't shown up yet. I spoke with.
They tend to say they en route, but they behind an accident on the highway.
Okay. So with that, Mayor, we have a proclamation, and we also have the business of the month remaining.
Okay. We'll move to the proclamation, and when Jonathan comes, we'll put him in rotation. And we'll have our city attorney read the proclamation for the record.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. A proclamation, whereas the City of Pahokee takes special notice and acknowledges the exceptional service of Digital Vibes, which has provided more than 12 years to our community and to our citizens of the highest potential, our children. And whereas in 2010, Digital Vibes was founded to reach out to underserved youth in Palm Beach County by mentoring them through a dance, fitness, technology, and the arts. And whereas Digital Vibes partners with more than 200 local after-school sites, community-based organizations, and summer camp programs serving thousands of children each year. And whereas Digital Vibes serves all children within and even beyond Palm Beach County, and whereas Digital Vibes has hosted events such as Let's Move, PBC, and programs such as wellness, workshops, fitness jams, and digital expressions where children can create songs and videos to express themselves. And whereas Digital Vibes has Kids First Jamathon and is the highest kids dance fitness concert in the nation. And whereas Digital Vibes has grown a following nationally and has a viral dance video on TikTok with over 42 million views, bringing national and international attention to Palm Beach County. And whereas Digital Vibes will host its largest event yet this year with dance fitness, healthy activities, and snacks and dance performances by local students, where the winning sites of the competitions will take home a cash prize. Now, therefore, I, Keith W. Babb, Jr., Mayor of the City of Pahokee, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, July 17th as the 13th Annual Kids Fit Jamathon to be held at the South Florida Fairgrounds in the City of West Palm Beach, and urges all citizens to join me in congratulating and celebrating Digital Vibes on their 13th Kids Fit Jamathon celebration. This is proclaimed on the 9th day of July, 2024, and in addition to the mayor, there is Vice Mayor Claire Mervin, Commissioner Derek Bolden, Commissioner Sanquetta Cowan Williams, and Commissioner Everett D. McPherson Sr.
Thank you, City Attorney. Do we have anyone from Digital Vibes here to accept the proclamation? Okay.
They called and said they had a conflict, they couldn't attend tonight's meeting, but really appreciate the proclamation.
Okay, we'll make sure that we forward this to them. Thank you. Okay.
And the next presentation would be presenting the business of the month for the month of June.
Okay. And I think Commissioner McPherson was the one who selected that business. I'm gonna allow him to, well, actually, we're gonna continue the protocol. We'll have the city clerk, the city attorney read that into the records.
The business of the month this month is Riguez Barbershop LLC. It is located at 385 Bacon Point Road, Pahokee. And in recognition of the outstanding service to the community, it is presented this 9th day of July, 2024, by Mayor Keith W. Babb Jr., by Vice Mayor Claire M. Mervin, by Commissioner Derek Bolden, by Commissioner Sanquetta Cowan Williams, by Commissioner Everett D. McPherson Sr., and by Michael E. Jackson, Interim City Manager.
Thank you, City Attorney. We do have someone for the business of the month here, right? Yes. We're gonna come down and present this certificate to you and have a photo op. We're gonna actually have Commissioner McPherson present the certificate, but on behalf of the Pahokee City Commission as mayor of this great city, and on behalf of the Vice Mayor Claire Mervin, Commissioner Sanquetta Cowan Williams, Commissioner Derek Bolden, along with Commissioner McPherson Sr., it's such an honor to be able to present you business of the month. We always look out our business, and we always encourage our residents to cater to the business because you provide a valuable service to the community. So thank you. And at this time, we'll have Commissioner McPherson present the certificate to you.
Okay, again, on behalf of the city of Pahokee, we'd like to congratulate you and thank you for the service that you've done in our community. Sometimes things that you do go unnoticed, because I notice sometimes we see posts, even when the kids are going back to school, sometimes y'all do free haircuts and different events come up that y'all volunteer in your own time and services to the community. And congratulations again, man. City of Pahokee.
I appreciate everybody.
Thank you.
It's kind of hot in here tonight, or it's May 1, it's normally cold.
Again, just a reminder, the clerk submitted the names of the commissioners who would be doing the previous and the next business of the month. I think I'm next month, and then the list will continue to go on. Just want to remind everyone. Okay, we still don't see Mr. Mann. We'll go on with our agenda as presented at this point. The next item on our agenda is the old business discussion of existing activities of previously held events, if any, updates on the city project. City manager.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor and Commission. A couple of items, quite a few items came up at the last commission meeting regarding consideration for future agenda items. We are working on quite a few of those. We're still waiting the name for the honor students. I know you guys are trying to get all of that compiled.
Right.
And once we get that compiled, we'll have it on a scheduled presentation. One of the things that came up, we talked about possibility of joining a local chamber. I did a little research along with staff and recommending that we join both the Belglade and Central Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. Joining both would allow us to have a local and regional exposure to business, companies, and network opportunities. And both chambers also provide leadership development programs for both staff and elected officials. I know some of you may have gone through some of those leadership programs. But it also connects us to economic development opportunities, not only here locally, but we have a better opportunity, or additional opportunities, I should say, by joining the chamber that's in Central Palm Beach County. It gives you exposure, deeper exposure to the Business Development Board and some of the other partners that's a part of that chamber. So I know it was discussed prior to, and I just wanted to let you know that we're looking to join both of those chambers. Now that involves participation both on the commission level and also maybe for senior staff. So once we get our invitation and join officially, I'll be sharing some dates of meetings and leadership opportunities to you for your consideration.
Mr. Jack, what's the fees for, I know there's a fee associated with, do you know the fees for each one of those?
I don't remember directly for each one, but I think both combined it's a little over $1,000 total for the year. And I can get the exact amount and share that with you, but it's not super expensive at all. Commissioner McPherson and others had requested information on potential legislative projects. I did a little research and was able to find and will provide to you, and some of you may already have the capital improvement plans for fiscal 2022 through 2026. And it captures quite a few of the projects that can be considered for legislative items. What I'm recommending is that we review that with the commission, maybe through a workshop or a planning session, and that'll help identify a priority for those projects. And it's something that probably should be scheduled sooner than later, since we're in the process of developing that list for both the state and federal appropriations for this upcoming year. The other items will be presented under the resolutions, and I'll provide detailed updates on both the Rosso site development, Barfield Highway, and also McClure Road project. That's it for now.
Thank you. Before I went to old business, I forgot to mention we don't have any consent agenda items on this particular agenda. Next item up for discussion would be public hearings and or ordinance. We don't have any public hearings and ordinance during this particular meeting. Next would be resolution. We have several resolutions on our agenda today. The first resolution is Resolution 2024-18, City Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, appointing 5 members to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, appointing an advisory board liaison, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Manager, could you give us a brief explanation of this resolution?
Yes, Resolution 2024-18 is being brought back for the Commission for consideration after being tabled during the June 25th Commission meeting. It centers around appointing 5 City of Pahokee residents to serve on the city's Park and Recreational Board, Advisory Board. To date, And since that meeting, we have not had any applicants for this particular board. From my understanding with the clerk, we've had one for the educational committee.
I think she gave us a list.
yeah,
I
she
believe we
did.
have up to 3 now.
We just received an additional, so now
Okay.
we have 4, we need 1 more.
We just received one. Now we need one additional to bring up to 5.
Okay. And we'll be able to discuss this, but I think if we do have 4 now, we should go ahead and proceed with appointing those 4, and then at our next commission meeting, hopefully we would have that last one that we need. I don't think the resolution calls for an alternate, but if we can get at least an alternate, that would help also, if we can do that. I don't know if we have to amend the resolution to include an alternate board member, but it was just a suggestion I think would be helpful to move us forward.
This is the first one and the other 2.
And I know we don't have a motion at this point or a second, but I would like to at least put this out there. If we're gonna have any changes to the ordinance, I'm gonna say to the resolution for appointing the Recreation Advisory Committee, I would also like us to look at considering the opportunity to have a non-city resident, at least one, that will be able to participate in our boards. That's just a suggestion. I'm just putting it out on the table. We do have outlying communities such as Paget Island, Freedom Village, and those areas that don't have any representation on the boards. And if we could just look at the possibility of extending board appointment, at least in some of the boards, like recreation and maybe another 2 boards, is just a consideration that we could look at that and think about that and for them to have an opportunity. Even Canal Point, which is so closely to Pahokee, and a lot of Pahokee former residents actually live there. So that's just something I'm just putting out on the table, that's just for consideration at some point in time. At this point, I'll entertain a motion and a second so we can further discuss it. The appointment of at least the 4 names we have received to be appointed on the Pahokee Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
I move that we accept Resolution 2024-18.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kywin Williams and properly second by Commissioner McPherson Sr. for the adoption of Resolution 2024-18. Call for questions.
Can you just mention the names so far, Miranda?
City Clerk, could you give us the names?
Yes, sir. So, one moment, please. The current applicants that we have, the first name would be Tanzania Allen. The second person would be Jacob Finkel. The third applicant will be Alfonso Smith Jr. And the fourth applicant would be Jomaine Milton.
Any additional questions from the commission?
Mr. Mayor, it may be a good idea now to consider the recommendations you just had, that to include an alternate member and also the consideration of an unincorporated resident in the contiguous area of the city of Pahokee.
Okay. Could we have any discussion on that? Anyone have any objection or pros or cons about a standing board appointment, at least for the Recreation and Park Department Board, to be extended to those unincorporated areas or joining the city?
I just have a question. We would have to go back to the qualifications that's in there, and that has to be updated, correct?
Yes.
That was my question.
Because
On the boards.
I don't even know if that would have any particular qualifications, but which
It
qualifications?
did.
it did, that
Yeah.
you have to be resident, so that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
It has to be
okay.
updated, yes.
Right. City Attorney, we're discussing the possibility of extending board appointment for the Parks and Recreation Department Board to extend beyond the city limits of Pahokee. I think we have one or two other boards similar to that, but we're just particularly discussing Parks and Recreation at this time, and updating that particular ordinance to include that. So you have any?
Well, that, Mr. Mayor, that would not be something you could do
Okay.
at this meeting because it is an ordinance. But if that's what you all would want back, you want to be brought back as a first reading item on the next agenda, that's something, we can craft it in any way that the commission is comfortable.
Okay. We're gonna continue moving with the question on that particular item. Any concerns or any in favor or objection of it or not? Commissioner McPherson, yes.
No, I don't have any objections, but I would move, if we're gonna do that, I think we need to do that with all of our boards, at least have one representative from those areas. Allow at least one representative.
And that don't
From each
mean
one
we
of those.
automatically appoint someone outside of that, but it give us an opportunity and ability to do it if, especially during a situation where you got boards where we're having a little difficult feeling, and then you have some outside interest that's willing and able to serve. I certainly see that being something should be appropriate.
So I have a question. So if we're going to do that, back to such as the Housing Authority Board, you appointed those members last week. So are we going to go back and do that for them as well? And even though you've appointed those members already? So will we go back and if we put they live outside of the city limits, they can go back?
Yeah, we don't actually have an ordinance on that now, but we did say in the previous meeting that we would look at creating an ordinance that would be similar to all of our regular boards members. So that would certainly be included as well.
And just to weigh in, Mr. Mayor, for you all to do that, it probably will be kind of costly because you're going back into all of your ordinances and you're changing it, which means you have to advertise it in the paper and notice and all of that kind of stuff. So I just want to put that out there because not all of them are active. And so maybe you want to choose which ones you want to do that with just from a financial standpoint, I guess, if you were looking at it, because it could be costly.
Consider the ones that are active or that we're looking at to try to activate instead of, just a suggestion.
Yeah, actually, we're looking to activate the majority of them. I think most of them been enacted. So what I'm thinking, I'm hearing is, I don't say necessarily do that for every single board, but maybe the boards that, I don't even want to use the word not so critical, but boards that don't have a direct impact on the financial consideration of the city. I guess the reason I'm saying this is you don't maybe want someone that don't live within the city that could have some influence on something that would impact financially the city ability to do something or not do something. All these boards are still on the advisory boards, and they don't have any authority to dictate or make any things outside of recommendation and suggestion and participation where needed. So I don't know if I'm hitting where I need to hit, but that's what I'm really trying to say,
So-
that maybe one or two boards that could be inclusive of outside residents that wouldn't interfere with the operation of the city could be beneficial.
My concern, this feels like a very slippery slope we're about to embark upon with that. What are the limitations? Can I select someone that lives in West Palm Beach to serve on the board? This just kind of feels like a slippery slope for us, and I'm not sure this is something that we should kind of tamper with at this stage, just because we want to fill the committees. You know, I know that I just feel like doing this correctly is gonna take some time, and I just think that we should not make decisions just for the sake of filling them, is what I'm saying.
Well,
And I have,
my reason for saying that, a lot of those people in those surrounding areas, their children participate in most of our city things, especially with parks and rec. I'm pretty sure all the kids from Friend Village, Paget Island, and some from Canal Point plays football.
And to me, that's fine. It's just, are those the limitations?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say so. I mean, I can't say it personally, but I would suggest that would be the limitation, just in those surrounding areas that we named.
And since we're talking about children who are in unincorporated parts of Pahokee and in Canal Point, so we're talking about Parks and Rec. So to me, that has nothing to do with any of the other boards. If we're gonna make it about the children that participate in Parks and Rec in Pahokee, then why are we discussing opening up all of the committees to outside as well, if that's our focus?
My,
It's not appropriate to ask a question at this
my thing is only going back to the Housing Authority Board. I would be cautious with that. Me personally would mess with the Housing Authority Board because they don't directly have part like the other boards. So Housing Authority Board, I would not change that or change the ordinance or by, with the Housing Authority Board. I'm kind of agreeing with Mr. Bowling on you got to be careful when you're changing the laws and incorporating others. I know we want everybody in the city to participate. We want every citizen to be a part of something, but it just some things is just not gonna it's not gonna be. It's just gonna be gotta be careful. It can be done, but you got to be very careful with doing this stuff. What the majority says.
I have one question too. I know we said we were gonna table it, and we started with the Parks and Rec, but we were supposed to have a workshop as well to see what boards we were going to keep, what boards we were gonna make changes to based in the some of the language and clean it up. So I think we should have a workshop and wait until we get to that workshop, looking at what boards we're going to have before we just here tonight, you know what I'm saying, try to make a decision to change as well, to see how is it going to be beneficial to the city. And when we start opening it up like that, and then we're gonna put stipulations on it and say, are we gonna say, open it up to unincorporated areas, and then like Mr. Bowden was saying, so then now we're gonna just say Canal Point and name them in the ordinance. I just think that's something we need to discuss before we just try to make that. I understand one representative, but that's just what I'm asking when we start talking about not residents of the city, how we're going to do it instead of making a decision,
Because if you go out there now, you have kids from Clewiston, you got kids from South Bay, you got kids from West Palm, you got kids out there from Okeechobee. So we're gonna open it up to residents from them. I'm just saying, you
Yeah.
have
But I think
participative
that
kids
it
that's
should-
out there.
Discriminate like that if everybody is
Yeah, the
participating.
new
I'm thinking you
initial
can't.
communication was to have it for those just immediate surrounding areas. We kind of named the areas we was referring to, but we did include Canal Point because it is such a closely surrounding areas, and most of the children who would go and live in Canal Point, their children will attend Pahokee and the schools in our community and attend our recreation and other departments that we have. So it would just be limited to them. And we're only talking at this point of just about one board. And we do have another board that I'm familiar with that have at least one of the members doesn't have to be a city resident, but I could think that's because of their specialization that you needed someone with some certain expertise on that particular board. But I don't think this is a drastic move from what we have been doing in the past. It's just a change from one particular board. So.
But I think that is a important, Mr. Mayor Babb, because as Commissioner Murphy said, you have kids out there from Clewiston, you have kids out there from Okeechobee, and what about they may
You
want to
know,
have.
We're not reaching that. I can understand that coming up. We're not reaching that far out. I mean, we're not even considering doing Palm Beach, Clewiston, Moore Haven. I mean,
But what if their parents want to
Yeah,
sit on
right, my
be
point.
involved?
Right,
You would tell them no?
yeah.
yes, we would tell them no. It's not part of the our local residential board. I mean, we're extending it just to reach out, just to extend out further than what it currently is. I don't think to go any further would be a drastic and major change.
So it's not something we can vote on tonight anyway. That's not something we can vote on tonight anyway, correct?
No,
No.
No,
that
right.
resolution would have to come back to us. But right now, what we're voting on is the current members that has been presented, at least to get them on board. And then we have to look at last board appointment, which hopefully will be done at the next meeting, if possible.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
just so that I'm clear, the next board appointment at the next meeting, you would be keeping it the same with just residents then, right? Because if it were an ordinance change, it wouldn't not be able to be done at the next meeting. So I just want to just put it out there so everybody's on the same page. Because if you're looking at changing it to having someone sit on it who's outside, it wouldn't, right now, your ordinance says that it would be 5 members who are citizens of the city. So if you're looking at doing something to change that, that's going to be an ordinance, not a resolution.
Okay,
So,
okay. But even if we decide to move forward with the ordinance wouldn't be ready by the next meeting. That would be too far out.
you could have a first reading, but
Okay.
you wouldn't be able to
Right.
have the second reading until at least 2
Sure.
meetings after that,
Okay.
because I think the way that they publish it in the Palm Beach Post, it's actually not even the next meeting, it's the following meeting. So
Okay.
that will hold you up for like about a month.
Okay, we'll move on this particular resolution, then we will move for a little discussion on whether or not they want to direct city attorney to move forward on a change in this particular ordinance to include the outlining areas if we desire to do that, but we need to at least discuss that. We had one discussion as far as let's wait to have a workshop. Some may feel for this particular board, we have enough information that we may want to move forward, I'm not sure. But let's take this particular ordinance now. We do have a motion and a second on the table. Are there any further discussion on this ordinance?
Point of order. So the resolution calls for you guys to name out which commissioner or appointed a specific member. So are you guys going to pass the resolution first and go back and name, or do you want to state now who's appointing who?
We can include that in who's appointing who. We
Okay.
don't have to move outside.
So that would be done now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So for, let me go back to it.
I think for the first and 10, Allen, Vice Mayor, if I'm not mistaken, had suggested she wanted to make her appointment,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Okay. So who was the second on that list?
And the second on the list would be Jacob Finkel.
Anybody know Jacob? Who was that? Okay. You can give us a little background on his application, just to see who he is and where he lives.
So, he's a Pahokee resident, and according to his brief resume and education and experience, it states that he's a high school graduate, owned a repair and remodeling company for 30 years, and he built websites. That's all that was listed on the application.
Application asks for a whole lot of.
Yeah. I'll point him. I don't personally know him, but if he's interested and have a desire to serve, I would appoint him for that board.
Okay. The third person is Alfonso Smith Jr., which I believe is
I'll appoint.
Commissioner Bowden. And then the fourth one is Jermaine Milton, which is Commissioner Cowan. So we, just need one more.
So Commissioner McPherson would make that fifth appointment, hopefully at our next commission meeting, if we have one on file with application.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we can just proceed now with the,
Are there any additional questions on this order? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cowan Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner McPherson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowden,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Now we just need a quick consideration whether or not we want to direct the city attorney to move forward on making any changes to the park and recreation ordinance to include the outlying communities surrounding Pahokee, to have at least consideration for at least one representative to serve. Not necessarily meaning they have to serve, but they will be considered now and in the near future if this particular change is taken to effect. Need
Mr.
some
Mayor?
discussion on,
Just for purposes of laying the foundation for your discussion, the sixth person could be a non-voting member because you already have 5 people that each of you are appointing, and then it's going to throw the number off if you don't. You could do 7, I guess, and then you have a, as 7 is voting, then you have an odd number, but you need an odd number either way. Or you can make it a non-voting and then have the 5.
Yeah, we'll make it non-voting as an alternate, so yeah, we'll do that. It'll be easier. Any discussion on that, Commissioner?
I was gonna make a motion. I move that we do a workshop to look at all boards and not just Parks and Recreation.
I'll second.
It's been moved that
For
by
future agenda items.
Commissioner Calvin Williams and probably second by Commissioner McPherson that we look at all boards and have a workshop instead of moving forward with this particular ordinance with Parks and Rec. Call for questions. I'll just have one question. I feel that this board, Parks and Recreation for our children, to me, really doesn't require, I'm not saying that other boards don't need to be considered, I'm just saying moving forward on an ordinance such as this shouldn't require a workshop on it. I can see in other boards, but that's just my
Point of-
point.
Point of clarification, I thought we were gonna go ahead and move forward with Parks and Rec. I misunderstood her motion as far as, I thought we were gonna look at all the other existing boards, but I thought we were gonna move forward with the Parks and Rec, so I misunderstood that.
So Mr. Mayor, so the place for that, and I think one of you said it, I don't know which one said it, but really it's on future agenda items. That's where the discussion should be. So, as
Okay.
opposed to another motion right here.
Okay. Just for clarification, we
Yeah.
did have a motion on the
Right, you're
floor
right.
in a second.
For a future
Commissioner, you're
agenda.
gonna just rescind your second on that particular item?
If it's not, I wanna move forward with the Parks and Recs, but the other boards, we can have the workshops.
So you already have a motion
Yeah, for that.
for that. That's already done, right?
That's
Wasn't
what I wanna
there a
make sure
vote
that
on
we-
that?
Yeah, that was a
So,
vote.
yeah, so you're done with that.
Then Commissioner
Right.
Williams indicated she wanted to have a workshop including Parks and Rec, not going forward with that, but to have a workshop on all the boards.
Right, so that right there at this place, this
Right.
wouldn't really be the time for that, and it will be later. And I want to stop now, so because I'm worried that in the future we may keep doing this, and y'all will be like, the attorney didn't say anything.
Okay.
So really, it should be under future agenda items, and if it were something of, if she intended it for it to be a reconsideration of the motion, you have to have somebody on the prevailing side, and all of that. So that's not, I guess that's not what you all are doing. You're looking to put this on the future agenda item to discuss it later in your agenda, so that it relates to having a workshop on all of the boards, right?
Okay.
So,
Would you like to rescind?
Just for clarification, that particular motion would now be for added to a future agenda item. And since it's already here now in front of us, just want to make clear that this would be an item that would be added for a future agenda item.
I have a question then. So can I rescind my motion and wait until we get to future agenda
Yes,
items?
ma'am,
Okay,
you
I
can.
rescind my motion, wait till we get to future agenda items.
Okay. Okay.
So for clarity, we're voting on going forward with the four that we currently have.
I think we've
That we already
voted.
done.
Yeah,
We
that's done.
that done,
Okay.
that's done. Okay. All right, thank you. Now we move to the next resolution, which would be Resolution 2024-22, City Attorney.
yes, Mr. Mayor, Resolution 2024-23, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving change order number 27 as set forth in Exhibit A, pertaining to Resolution 2021-02 and the Florida Department of Transportation FDOT Grant Funding Award, Contract G-1753 FM number 44203001-54-1 Barfield Highway Reconstruction Project, providing for an effective date.
Just for clarification, City Attorney, which resolution did you read?
I read, on the agenda, it says Resolution 2024-23, but,
It's one is 22
okay, it
first.
should be 22. Let me reread the one that's for 22, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
A resolution number 2024-22, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving payment to WGI, Inc. in the amount of $83,850 for utility construction relocation and/or adjustment services in conjunction with City Project number 4481000-1, further accepting reimbursement from Palm Beach County to pay for said services pursuant to the interlocal agreement between Palm Beach County and the City of Pahokee, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Manager, could you give us a brief explanation?
Yes, sir. Resolution 2024-22 approves payment to WGI, Inc. in the amount mentioned, $83,850 for utility construction, relocation, and adjustment services by way of executing a local agreement between the City of Pahokee and Palm Beach County that was in Resolution 2016-20. This resolution outlined the county's ownership and operation of the public water and water system located within the city of Pahokee through the Glades Utility Authority back in 2013. It also outlines the county's willingness to cover these water and wastewater related costs associated with the McClure Road project. The invoices for these services are provided in your backup, and I just wanted to share a little bit more detail outlining the tasks and costs associated with this request. For the public, and also if you take a look at slide 1, I'm not sure. And if you're following in your agenda, it's the WGI letter to Ms. Adams on June 7, 2023. Give you a minute to find it. And starting on page 2 of 13. Okay, so if you can follow, it's page 2 of 13.
Yeah, we have it.
Okay. And this details the task. Task 1 was data collection, and if you're following under the lump sum, we're looking at costs associated with the utility component of this now. You found it, Mayor?
That's it right there.
Yeah, you can. Go back and see.
So under this reimbursement, they're gonna be reimbursing a lump sum of $11,500 for topographical and route survey, and those tasks are identified under that particular task. And you turn the page, under task 2, section 2, subsurface utility engineering test of the whole investigation. There's a lump sum allocation of $15,150 for that particular task. For roadway, which requires a 30% design development for this particular time in the project, there's a lump sum amount of $9,675. Utilities, the lump sum is $10,410, and those different tasks are associated with that. Under roadway, again, there's a total of $20,125, and those tasks under that particular category are outlined as well. Utilities, water distribution and wastewater collection is a lump sum amount of $9,950 allowable for that cost. And the 90% design development, the lump sum for that particular category is $17,725. And likewise for the wastewater collection under this utility category for $9,005. And if you follow, there's another category, a lump sum of $9,445. The next one, lump sum of $7,605. And it proceeds for the next couple of pages, just looking at lump sum, specializing when they're both for roadway and utilities. This allocation is only for the utility components. So at the end of that, page 9 of 13, you see the total lump sum for roadway, which is not considered under this resolution, is $128,370. And the utilities component, which is being discussed and presented to you tonight, is for $83,850, and that matches the resolution amount. And I just wanted to provide a little bit more detail so you can understand clearly what's being invoiced and what's being expected. Again, all of these dollars have been approved by Palm Beach County, we have agreed to reimburse up to this amount. There's no city dollars associated with this reimbursement. So the reason why it's coming to you at this juncture, you know, the project started some time ago. We had to do a lot of cleaning up of documents, for lack of a better term, making sure all the I's were dotted and T's crossed. And that has caused a delay since me coming on board. These were some of the first things I was presented with, but I was determined to make sure that I would not provide anything that was not complete and thoroughly researched. So that's why you send this issue and this matter today. So we're recommending your approval for this reimbursement to WGI.
I make a motion that we accept resolution 2024-22A.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Mike Pearson Senior and properly second by Commissioner Bowden for the adoption of resolution 2024-22. Call for question. Hearing none, if you're ready.
One question. How soon will they start like working on the road once we get this portion approved?
Well, the idea is to get it done as soon as funds are available to complete it. This is just for the design component of McClure Road. So we're continuing to seek funds to make sure that we have enough and adequate monies in place to complete that road project. These costs, these dollars that we're looking at now are dollars that came in years ago. And I'm sure there's gonna be an additional need to increase the budget to complete based on the increases in all the materials and prices. But I'll have a better assessment of that and be able to provide that to you once we get to that point.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner McPherson,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowden,
Yes.
Commissioner Calvin Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passed by unanimous vote. At this time now, we'll move to the presentation from the restaurant vendor. I'll have Mr. Jackson introduce them, and then we'll start back with our resolutions.
Okay. Yes, as indicated, we would go back to the presentation component of the agenda. We now have Mr. Mann here with representative that will allow Mr. Mann to provide an update to the commission at this point. Thank you for coming tonight.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Mayor Babb,
Good evening.
Vice Mayor Mervin, Commissioner St. Clair Calvin Williams, Commissioner Bolden, and Commissioner McPherson. Happy to be here with you guys. I want to give you guys an update on the restaurant. Obviously, I have one of my colleagues here. This is our general manager, Victor Nappy. He's going to give a little bit of color to what we're looking to do to move forward. Obviously, there has been amount of time, more than we would all like, to have the restaurant to have not been, serving patrons and open. So based on how the business was being run the past year, it needs to be a reassessment of the operators within the company. My three business partners, who are all part of JPDT, within the last year or so, they've all had an extension to their families, which may have changed some of their financial situations, which had them reassess some of their commitments as far as doing the business. All three of them had a newborn baby. Two had a girl and another had a boy. That shouldn't change the way that we approach doing business, but my business partners had to decide whether or not this was a commitment they could do. Me being the president of the organization and having a long business relationship with the city, and me working in business outside in my everyday life, it's kind of more of a long commitment is the way that I see it. So regardless of what would change within our organization, and everyone has their personal situations, I thought it meant a lot to the city and more on my word to make sure that we were to get this restaurant to actually fill its mandate that was made and presented to the community. It means a lot to me personally because I'm from here, and I know that it means a lot to all of you and everyone within this community to have this business ran, not just ran to be open. I believe the last time that the business was open, we opened it with the intention of having it being done well and doing long term, but there were certain elements I think we all could kind of look back and see that the vision may have not met the needs of the community, okay? And there needed to be a reassessment of what the community needed to move forward. Based on that thought and understanding, I've had some communication with interim city manager, Mr. Jackson, and kind of gave him a little bit of what I will kind of give you guys tonight on the path forward, because we're all in agreement that there is so much potential with the marina and with the restaurant, but there's been a complete inability to really show, you know, just fulfill the expectation that was presented and what that great opportunity can be. I want to let Vic stand up, and he's going to give a little bit of what we're proposing to do over the next recent future. Our goal is for Labor Day to hopefully have things back to where we're open and ready to go for the community. That's going to take a few things that we've been working behind the scenes to accomplish, but we want to give you guys some of those details. So I'm going to allow Mr. Victor Nappy to kind of give a little bit of his background. I think this is the first time you guys have seen him in a proposal. I know Mayor Babb and Vice Mayor Murphy, you guys were on a commission when we first got presented with this opportunity, so you guys are familiar with Vic, but this will give you guys, Ms. St. Clair Cowens and Mr. McPherson and Derek Bolden, you guys have opportunity to meet him for the first time. So, Mr. Victor Nappy.
Thank you very much for your time, the introductions. It's a bit surreal to be standing up here because a few years ago when we met and we talked about the restaurant, I was very excited about it. I had restaurants in New York, and in my previous life, I've had different restaurants and been a chef, and it's all due to him that he pulled me back out and said, no, you got to get involved in this. And in the beginning, when I first looked at the restaurant, I said, the place is unbelievable, but the challenge is how do you get a world-class facility with a marina and just everything it has to offer, including sitting out there on the dock. You feel like you could be anywhere in the world. And I said, how do you get people to come to the restaurant? And this is a conversation we've had, because a place like that, it's hard for a lot. We know how hard the restaurant industry is as it is, but then to support a place like that on, let's just say, a lunch menu or I'm struggling for words because I look at it as something that could be a 5-star restaurant. And then it becomes a destination. And this is where we've had many conversations, and I can give you a little history. When we were having these conversations, prior to we'll call it the first opening, your partners as well, I watched what was going on. I was very much, I was very involved in watching what was happening, met with everybody, and I looked at Jonathan, I gave him the nod, and I said, I'm going to bow out because I've seen a lot of restaurants and I know how this goes. And I said, right now you're looking internally. I would say you're either in the business or on top of the business. And a restaurant industry, if you're stuck inside that restaurant and not looking to grow it from the outside and create marketing for a big restaurant, you're gonna be stuck in a mom and pop industry. And you're gonna be inside that restaurant forever. So I told him, I said, I love you, but this isn't really what I'm looking for, thank you. And I said that very humbly, and we've still remain great friends. And but the reason I bring that up is to say, now with this new opportunity, I outlined a lot more. And what a lot more to me means is creating a real marketing plan, a destination. I myself, outside the restaurant, I have a food TV show that's going out on the Travel Channel next year. I have a lot of social media following on food in the industry. It's something I just did during COVID. It was my COVID project. Everybody has one. I became a social media influencer in food. It has nothing to do with my mainstream job. But the reason I mention that is I've been sponsored by Jersey Mike's, Doritos, and you name it, and many others. And they came to me because of that viral traffic on social media. And that was our approach in the beginning with the restaurant, was saying, let's not just look in the neighborhood here. Let's pull from Miami. Let's where I live. Let's pull from West Palm. Let's start bringing some really unique dishes. And I said, but we need to leverage social media. So one of the things I proposed recently when all the changes came is I said, we're going to run a cooking show out of there. Once a month or twice a month, I'm going to bring a bunch of celebrity chefs, guests, friends of mine, and we're going to cook in the kitchen, and we're going to also educate. I want to bring kids. I want to bring a whole, I just want to make it a project where it's a food creation, education, and that's outside of the time the restaurant's open. That's where we're actually filming, and then we're putting those on YouTube. People are seeing it, and they're like, what's Pahokee? What's this restaurant? It'll go very viral. I was in Japan last year, and content goes all around the world now. So what's really cool is having the access to a place like this that's beautiful. It looks well in film. You can do events. That's when I leaned back in and said, that's really what you need to be looking at right now. And I said, if that's what you're willing to do, I'm willing to step up and, you know, give it a second shot with you, and we can really start launching it, putting it out on some of the show on the networks, start really creating a buzz on social media. We've got some very unique dishes as well in some restaurants. Friends that will show up and create that buzz that'll allow us to do very high-end menu items, which also will not preclude us from serving the local market and doing those type of things. So I'm just trying to throw a lot here. So we have a long marketing plan around this. But with that said, I want to ask you, am I addressing everything you? Because I know that we've had many conversations. Is that kind of the highlight of where you're? And so, you know, that's what I think is going to make it very different than the past, because truthfully, that's why I had to walk away. I saw it being run with, 3 or 4 different people, and I knew you were taking a step back. I said, let's see where this goes. Not wishing anybody anything other than the best, but I just said, it's a very hard business, and if you're not pulling people as a marketing brand outside of just the local area, you're going to have a tough run with it. And there was a lot of other things that I'd heard. So that's, where we're at today is we've got a potential with a really incredible operation and something I think we can pull off in probably the next 60, 90 days and start seeing some of those results, because social media is instant, as we all know. So now I could keep talking. If you couldn't tell, I have a lot of words, but I'll stop and let you talk and tell everybody else. But thank you very much. And that is why, drove up here from Miami to make sure we can get this thing going.
So as you guys can see, there are a lot of plans for the immediate future for the restaurant to resume operation. Doing business in a way to where we're doing it the right way, it does require getting a lot of quality people involved, and that takes time. But we believe we're finally at a stage to where we can kind of get things going and it be meaningful. So I'm open to questions, obviously, but the timetable we expect and we're hoping for is right around Labor Day. We think that's something that's very doable, and that's where our optimism is.
I guess my question would be, I know there were 4 of you before. What is the current structure of?
So currently the structure of the organization is myself, my 3 business partners. They had to rescind their ability to move forward because of personal reasons and possibly some financial. And so they decided that it was a good time with their families expanding to kind of just, draw back, and they felt that this business was a little more challenging than they, initially thought it would be. Obviously, with my understanding of the demands of business, and especially in the restaurant business, it's a long-term game. It's not something that you're going to start this year and you're going to really fulfill everything that you're going to do within it. There's going to be a lot of time and a lot of investment, and a lot of financial investment. So at this time, my three partners couldn't make that commitment. So we had conversations, and they decided that it was best for them, with expansion of their families, to kind of take a step back.
Okay.
Now, I do leave the door open. Now in the future, anything may happen to where, you know, they may want to be involved. And because they're from the community like we all are, I want to make sure that we do this in a way, even though I'm moving forward on my own, I'm doing it in a way to where I'm not precluding what they contributed up to this point, right? There was some good and some bad, and they have their personal things they're doing, but I think that, you know, we're honoring their contributions even though I'm moving forward.
Okay. One more question, I guess. So I'm looking at the total amount owed to the city, $103,211.67. I know you talked about 60 to 90 days. Do you guys have how do we move forward without this being done or taken care of? I understand that you were not literally a part of it, but this is basically kind of where we are. What do we do about this part of it?
Well, that's something that we'll have to, I guess, kind of go through the numbers. And I'm more than willing to make that part of our resolution as we start to get the restaurant going and some income coming, because we're in partners with the city. So as the restaurant goes, the revenue is shared with the city. So that's our goal for us all, to have not just a prosperous operation, but we want to have the income development for the community as a whole. So we can definitely look at any outstanding accounting and go through it to make sure that it's resolved.
You finished, Mr. Bowden? Good evening, Mr. Mann. Thanks for coming. I'm looking at an email from May 2nd, 2024 from, I guess that was from, you emailed Mr. Lucas and said that, as per your request for updates we discussed earlier today, I will be providing a cashier's check for the sum of the first year's rent made to the city of Pahokee by this Friday. And looking at the breakdown of everything that we have, and we have an outstanding balance. The rent was, I see here you paid $1.21. I guess the rent was $1.33. Is that what it was?
Just $1.
Just $1?
Yeah.
First year.
$33.
Okay, so I guess my question is, we have a balance here of $103,211.67. That's owed to the city. So I guess my question is, we wanted to move forward, and the contract stated that you would only be closed, what, 2 weeks out of the year? And that we were supposed to have a restaurant manager originally in the contract. And from listening to him talk, he bailed out. We didn't have a restaurant manager. You didn't have a restaurant manager.
We had a different manager, but we didn't have the one that was proposed.
So there was a restaurant manager?
There was.
Okay. So with you, with the company owing $103,211 and you wanted to move forward, and I guess without paying this amount up front.
Yeah, we'd have to go through the accounting, and then we can work out a way to.
And the restaurant has been closed. Nothing has been paid on the, apparently on this amount. So you're asking the city to allow you to move forward, starting with a $103,000 debt that's owed to us. What's going to guarantee that this is not going to happen again? Is my concern.
Okay.
And the community's concern, because it's like, it was a hush-hush, you left. I didn't know, I heard talk in the community, but you all never came and presented to the, unless I missed it, that you all came to the community or to this commission and presented that we're closing and we're gonna be closed for a while. I'm seeing you now, and I've been pretty active in the community. And I think that was not good business.
Well,
Maybe you can correct me. Did you all come to the commission and said that you're closing, or you're gonna be closed for a certain amount of time, or maybe I missed it, or is
I would
this your
agree with
first
you.
time coming back? And I don't recall that, so maybe
Would
you
like me
can,
to
yeah.
respond? First of all, I would agree with you in the standpoint of having a communication line with the city in regards to the temporary closure. I was even unaware.
But your name is on all the paperwork.
Understand?
Oh, okay.
I'm just giving you the truth.
I know, but I'm just
So,
saying, your name on all the documents.
I understand that. So I was unaware of the decision to temporary close. But I found out shortly and very quickly on. But everyone's not doing great business terms, and everyone doesn't act as professionally as they should in every walk of business. Within every organization, you're always going to have certain individuals within the organization that is not going to act as professionally as we would like. My job is to make sure that I did everything in my power to make sure the resolution is done. So there was a lot of communication done at the time through the commissioners. We spoke behind the scenes, we had conversation with the city managers numerous times to develop clarity. Now, we didn't present that throughout the city, but we made it aware to the people that needed to know at the time. With that being said, there is no way that we can kind of justify them not fulfilling the mandate that was expected. And that's where we are based on them not being here. I felt that I would do it differently, and that's why I'm here today. And that's why I decided to make sure that I got everything right within the business in order to present moving forward what the expectation is. Now, in regards to the accounting, I know we discussed a little bit with the former city manager, and I'll meet with Mr. Jackson as well, and we'll get a chance to get into it as well. But there is some things that need to be going over with the accounting. I'm not sure how much of that number that you just named is something that was directly in reference to what was left over as debt, but whatever debt is left over from the previous management or lack thereof within the restaurant, we'll come up with a plan of action to get it resolved with the city, because like I said, we are partners with the city. Part of the goal is to make sure that we get the business operating so that revenue is made that can be shared with the city. So over the next 20 years of that contract, that it can be prosperous and money could be coming back to help the constituents within this community. Now, in addition to the revenue generated from that, the economic development arm is something that we're still poised to do. We believe that, and I know I believe this personally, getting the restaurant back open with quality people that are going to present the restaurant in a way that's going to show a good light on the constituents of this community is the highest priority. And it's something that I take very seriously. When others walk away, leaders step up. And I believe I've been a leader throughout this period, and that's why I'm here right now, working behind the scenes to get the right people involved to make this happen for the city. Now, I'm a professional as well in my day job. I run a business for the largest dewatering company in the country, and I close crazy deals. I think I've closed $9.8 million worth of business this year. And I know some things do take time. And if you get the right people involved and you stay fast and you're very professional and responsive in your work, that you can create something special. I believe you have all the foundation and things needed to allow this great marina that's been sitting dormant. And we're not the first patron to try to get something going there. But the ones that actually succeed are the ones that have a plan. When things go a little bit off, you're able to fix that plan. You're able to work with those people that are qualified to get you in the right direction, and you find ways to move forward. That's what I believe I'm doing here today.
Yes, Mr. Mann, you stated
Yes, sir.
earlier that it was you was unaware that the restaurant was closing down. I'm looking at the contract that was signed by you on April 14, 2022. Your
Yes.
name is the one on the contract.
It is,
And with
absolutely.
that being said, I feel like it would be your responsibility to keep those communications and to know what's.
Absolutely, and I took full responsibility. Yes, sir. And I stand on that. That's why I'm here today. You're absolutely correct, and that's why moving forward, I'm going to make sure that if there is any communication needs that need to happen where we have to come forward to the commission, I'm obviously going to be the person to make sure the communication is communicated throughout the community, but I'm also going to be communicating directly with all of you as well.
I have a question, City Manager. My question is the contracts that Muck Tavern had, is it still active, or what has the state said in regards to the contract?
I've been speaking with the state directly to Mr. Richardson. I have a conversation with him as late as 4:50 this evening. I wanted to know if he had any or wanted any input in tonight's meeting, and his response to me was that it's whatever decision the commission makes, whether you want to continue with the contract or whether you want to close the contract, to make that decision, and as long as the city lets him know, we'll be able to work through whatever that decision becomes.
And we're in what, year 3 of the contract? Is it year 3, Mr. Mayor?
It will be officially year 2.
Year 2.
We started in October 2022. So October 2025 would technically be the end of the second year. 22, 23, 24, yeah. October 2024, I mean, would be the conclusion of the second year.
So what is your plans as far as the outstanding bill? I hear what you're saying, you gotta look through the numbers, but
Yeah.
what is your plan as far as
So
paying?
my plan is to get the restaurant open. Upon the restaurant being open, and we're going to have a plan to work out with the city where we'll pay a certain amount, maybe on a monthly basis, especially when revenues come in, and to be able to pay down any outstanding amounts due to the city through our partnership. Obviously, we'll do accounting to make sure that everything that's on the debt is justified, and then we'll more than happy work it out to, shift those funds to the city as quickly as possible.
So you're not planning on paying anything up right now on your bill? Nothing?
Well, first we would have to, I think the goal, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the goal to have the restaurant open so that we can be generating revenues for the community? If that is the goal, I would like to make sure that we can get the restaurant open and generating revenues for the community. And then at the same time, work with the city in an appropriate time frame that works so it doesn't burden the restaurant from sustaining itself. Because let's say, if I were to say, okay, I can get these funds and pay it back and they're all justified, let's just assume they are. If paying that before we open would hamper the business from being successful, it will be counterproductive to the promises I'm making to us having a long, successful business. So I would love for us to be able to work that out because, again, this is an ongoing partnership. I'm only successful if the city's successful. And I like to think vice versa. If the city's successful, then my business is more successful, right? We're working together. So I would set up something with Mr. Jackson to where we can have a payment plan based on the revenues of the restaurant, and that we won't make $1 before the city is made whole. And that's something I think is fine with me.
City Manager, have you heard enough to be able to move forward with your recommendation? Or would you still need time to meet with Mr. Mann to work any logistic details associated with this. I'm not sure we're even planning on voting or even making a decision as far as the commission tonight, but it's gonna have a lot of weight of what your recommendation as far as moving forward based on the previous communications with the previous city manager and this company to get the restaurant back up and running. I think there have been time given to work out some things, and he had some outline that he felt needed to be completed prior to him saying that he was on board with moving us forward. So I'm just asking, from your point of view, what would you need to at least provide the city commission with a recommendation?
Mr. Mayor, Commission, I think I have enough information based on what I've heard tonight. And if the city is willing to work with Mr. Mann, my recommendation would be that Mr. Mann and the organization pay at least $38,606.98. That amount includes the rent that's due and is categorized for $4,182.83. The ongoing water utility bill, which is at $9,810.89, and the FP&L bill, which is at $24,613.24. Once those bills are paid, that'll leave a balance of, do my calculations real quick. That'll leave a balance of $64,604, and I would recommend that that balance is paid over a not to exceed 6-month period. And that's my recommendation. I would not recommend, and a part of that recommendation is once those utilities are paid, we will go ahead and disconnect those utilities, so those amounts won't reoccur again until we're ready to move forward with actual operation of the facility. So that's my friendly recommendation to the commission. If you're willing to allow Mr. Mann another opportunity, those are the things that I would recommend.
What was that first amount?
The first amount is $38,606.98. And again, it covers the rent, the utilities through Palm Beach County Water, and also the FP&L. It'll bring all of those bills current, and those utilities will be disconnected immediately upon payment. And the repair and renovation cost, which agreed a percentage would be paid by the city and also by the restaurant. We will give 6 months for that $64,604.71 to be paid.
How much would we give to have the $38,600 so odd dollars paid?
I would recommend within the next month.
So 30 days?
30 days, yes, sir.
May I ask a question while we're looking at the numbers? City Manager, maybe you can give me a better understanding. How did the bills get, so is this so expensive? The bills are not, I'm just asking, are these bills paid monthly?
Yes.
And so this is for an entire year, nothing was paid? Or?
Under the utility, you see the first invoice from October 22 to May 23rd. And then subsequently, you see the other months, the breakdown of the other months. And it's as current as last month. The June 2024 amount is posted there as well.
So there was nothing in the contract to show to verify that the bills are paid monthly? That, you know, the bills, I guess, ran up this high. I guess I'm not understanding if it's a business and, you know, they're supposed to be paying monthly bills. I guess that's what I'm
If
trying
I
to
can-
understand. How did it get so expensive
Yeah, I can-
if they're
can I-
paying it
Can I
monthly?
interject something? I'm looking at the contract. It said the first year it was $1, second year it was supposed to have been $3,500, and the third year is supposed to be a certain percentage. My question is to the city manager, if we look at the payment history as far as the date that they moved in, what's the payment history on a monthly basis? I mean, how were the payments being made, and were they being made?
It was initially, sorry to cut you off, Commissioner, it was a $20,000 amount deposit. And the only accounting that I've been able to receive is the payment for the first year rent and interest for the rent component. I have not seen the details of the water utility and the FPNL, but the dates are accurate in terms of what was owed at what particular time.
Okay.
I can provide you guys context on the utilities. So the reason that the utilities appear not to have gotten paid because they were a little convoluted with the city's utilities. We were told that we needed the city to call in and get a separate electrical unit for the restaurant building that we were inhabiting. As we are aware, the pool and the bathroom facilities don't belong to us in the contract, nor does the main building adjacent to where the office is. We have a room, an office, but that building is also under the direction of the city. And there was never a utility unit placed on the restaurant to be metered for the restaurant. So there was either going to be a percentage of the bill that we would pay, and then, or a unit for us to be able to pay. Same thing for the water. We had the water for our building. The city was also using the water that was connected to the building, so we didn't have our own water line. So the whole pool, the bathroom, all that was on the same water bill as well as the adjacent building. So because we never got either a percentage bill for our restaurant usage or our meter, that's why the bills got to the point to where they are now. And the request was made, but the city had to initiate that partition.
So if you disconnect the lights, the electric, it would turn off the conference room and the bathrooms, the pool, because it's all connected?
No, in my research, those are some of the same questions that I asked, whether or not it was segregated specifically for the restaurant. And the answer that I was proud of was yes, everything is segregated. So the numbers you see here is strictly and purely the restaurant. It's not commingled with the city's utilities.
Are you, I mean, I spoke with FP&L, and as when we opened, they said that we do not have a box for the building for the restaurant. So I'm not sure who has that information, but as of us receiving any metered restaurant bill, we had never in that duration. And there was a lot of requests made, so. But we can work together to see if there is a tavern or that meter specifically for the restaurant, and then we would definitely make that accounting to work to where we're paying that, correct?
Okay.
So can we look at that, because from my record, from previous, I don't think there's a separate box. I don't know about the water, but electrical, I'm not sure. Because I remember we talked about it once before about placing electrical outlet there to separate it. I don't think that was done, and I'm from the last previous city manager thinking, and it's supposed to be like a split bill. I don't know how, how it's supposed to be done, because I don't know that part, but it is something that we can look into. But I'm not sure about water, but as for about electrical, I think it's like a one. If you turn off one, you're gonna turn off the other.
Okay. Again, I had these specific conversations with staff, and I was provided information that said it is segregated. But I'll go back and do additional research and be able to provide you with the information, the most current information.
So to go back to my original question, my understanding, even if I'm looking at the documents that I have before me, year two, the plus the interest, the 35, there wasn't anything paid, and that's why we come up with the for the January through June, July 24th interest.
Yes.
You're
Okay.
correct. Ended in June. Unless we go from when we open.
So year two payment is due now.
Yes. That's why I included it in the amount to be considered.
City Manager, how much of an extension have they had? I know they were working with Mr. Lucas when Mr. Lucas was here as well. So how much of an extension have they had? How long have you all been closed?
I believe the restaurant's been closed since November of last year.
The information that I received from the state, Mr. Lucas had recommended on May 4th, if I'm not mistaken, a 30-day response in regards to any outstanding issues associated with the sublease agreement.
And
So 30 days from May 4th.
so did no one responded in those 30 days?
No, the only response that I received was the change of business ownership.
It was, I gave a full
And-
response to.
And so
Mr.
Mr. Lucas was requesting that,
A response, I remember seeing.
a response that this be paid,
No.
or what was
Just
Mr. Lucas?
Resolution of who was the members of the organization moving forward.
So he wasn't asking that any of these bills be paid. He
No.
just wanted that to be changed, and he was okay with that.
Well, it was a step in the process to get the resolution. That's what it was. Now, if I can be clear, we did go over some of those bills quite a few times, and a lot of that accounting at the time was not ours. I'm not here to dispute them. We have plenty of time to go through the accounting to verify the accounting.
So did you ever meet with Mr. Lucas in regards to these? I mean, knowing that you were coming tonight, did you bring any numbers with you for us to see, to
No,
compare to what your numbers are, that you're saying these numbers are not
I had
correct?
no idea that you guys were going to be going over these particular numbers. I did sit with Lucas. We've had plenty of conversations regarding those numbers, though.
So you didn't think it
in the
was
past.
important to bring any of that for us to look at for consideration, knowing that you're in violation of your
I
contract?
had no idea the agenda based on those numbers. If I would have been giving that this was a point that you guys wanted to address, I would have sat with Mr. Jackson ahead of time, and we would have went through them.
So then how can you say the numbers are not correct then if you haven't seen this? Or
Again.
for us, I'm just saying for us to compare to your numbers that
Again.
you may have.
We've had conversations since early in the year regarding the numbers. And there were many conversations where there was a difference in opinion, even from Mr. Lucas's side, because that's where my attorney was involved. And a lot of those numbers were found to be not in our purview of what we owed. But I can go through them with the city manager, the new city manager, and we'll go through it. I'm not here to discount anything that's alleged. We'll resolve it. I'm a person that believes in if there is a solution and everything is in black and white, we're all professionals and adults, we can go through it and find a way for a resolution, if that's the desire, to find a resolution.
Yeah, I just have a concern as a commissioner. You know, I was one of the ones that, fought hard to get McTavern open, and to get this in front of me to see that bills have not been paid for a year. And so you're asking, or you wanting this commission, or you saying to this commission that you want to move Milk Tavern forward. You didn't come with any documents to compare your documents to our
Well-
documents, even if you knew we didn't have these documents, that you're coming, here's my plan, you told us your plan, you told us what your plan is, we didn't get anything in writing. And I would just think if I'm presenting to the commission, or coming to the commission, or pleading to the commission to continue my contract, here's my plan in writing that I have for you all. I'm serious about, having the restaurant open. And then to hear you say you didn't know they were closing and you signed the contract, that's a concern of mine as well, because that means you walked away from a business that a contract was given to you on, and you said you didn't even know they.
That's incorrect. We were open for business, and 3 or 2, without information to others, made a directive that compromised. I can't control what people that don't do on my, when I'm not babysitting the restaurant. So to assume that moving forward for me, things are going to be ran as it was. When you have multiple individuals, part of a business, everyone has a say, right? And so that's an innate challenge because my say doesn't dictate necessarily how everyone's going to feel. So because I'm a part of it and I am the president, we didn't structure it to where I was a dictator. So that's the answer on why they could, some within the business could decide I'm out and the business is going to close because I'm not going to make a financial contribution. And if they decided to do that without addressing it to the city or without including even their other business partners, that lends to you why it was a good idea for them to step aside, because it's not professional. That's not a way to do business. I don't have that issue because I'm doing business of my own accord without having to worry about other people to make a decision for me. So that's the benefit of me moving forward as an individual to make sure that the mandate is upheld. Now, in regards to the accounting, myself and Mr. Jackson, we can go through it. And we'll make sure that the accounting is correct. I don't really have the ability to speak to every part of that accounting, but I'm sure we can find a solution. And if the accounting is true, which there's paper trails, and if the accounting is true, we'll resolve it. I do think from the standpoint of the city, if I may, because Ms. Williams, I see that you're passionate, and that's a good thing. We're all passionate about the city. If I look at myself, I want to let you guys kind of know why I'm here today. It's very important to know why. We're all aware, if you weren't on the commission at the time, we're aware of the fight, the dog-out fight that we had to do just to have the opportunity to get this contract. We're aware of the 4 members that are part of this organization, the member that was here throughout the whole fight. When my business partners were playing professional ball, they weren't aware of the fight that needs to be done. I was here every commission meeting. I was here within the community months and months on a time. I sacrificed. I didn't work my other jobs. I have my own businesses at the time. But I was the one at this restaurant rehabbing it with my own hands, knees, blood, and sweat. Members of the community would see me up there working, sleeping in that restaurant for months at a time. So I can assure you, there is not one person on this earth that has a desire to see that thing flourish more than a gentleman standing in front of you. I put more time, money, blood, sweat, and tears attracting people that would rarely ever come to this community to get involved, to bring something that would benefit this community because of the desire of the people I see in front of me, because of my family members that live in this community, because the patrons that I represent from being from this community. When I developed the Muck Hall of Fame and we wanted to present awards and recognize people in this community, these are all the things and the passion that I have to see success and regard and honor and respect to this community. The reason I'm here, when you get business partners that walk away, when you get people that turn their back and you get someone that has no advantage. I didn't run up any debt. I wasn't making the main decisions to put us in this position. But you gotta have somebody that has some integrity and leadership and responsibility that's willing to step up. Now, I'll give you one solid truth on why this means something to me. I don't start something that I don't finish. That's what I believe. Anything in my power. And I believe that there's something in my power that can give this opportunity for the community to be great. I live in East Boca Raton. I make pretty decent living, and I break my back to get out here to Pahokee. And I do whatever I can to make sure that I show enough people why there's a value. My partner lives in Brickell. He was out of the country, just flew in yesterday. So there is an understanding of the person that's standing in front of you. Now, it's not going to take time for me to get things back going. But if this was to go back out to market, I can guarantee you, with the 3 years it took us to get it, no one else is going to get it done even faster, and they're definitely not going to have the marquee that I can bring to it. If they haven't bled as much as I've bled, if they're not from this community, they're not going to try to withstand the political, financial, and whatever things that get thrown at them like I will. If they get partners that walk off from them in this restaurant at Pahokee, guarantee they're not going to have anything invested to stay. And I know everyone up there personally, and all of you guys know me personally. And y'all know one thing about Mr. Man, I'm a man of my word.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You know, I know they talked about the 30-day extension or whatnot, but as far as what you four were dealing with in terms of changes that needed to be made, how long did that process take for you guys?
Internally within the business?
For you to be
Yes.
the only?
Oh, it took us at least about 4 or 5 months.
And that involved lawyers?
Correct.
Okay.
There were various attorneys involved. We had to have various meetings with the city. We had to have guys talk terms internally. So there was a lot of loss in there, and considerably, you know, the clock is still perpetually running on the agreement that I have to make up for. And so, thank you for acknowledging that, Mr. Bolden. There are a lot of things legally that have to come and take place in order for me to be able to move forward, and for my business partners to be able to get themselves to where they are right now and to not be moving forward. And so the same thing with getting the right people involved to do it the right way. Anybody can open a restaurant, and there could be a time where things are going well. We opened the restaurant, and for a time I think we all thought it was okay until the atmosphere wasn't maybe what we expected, and things weren't run the way that they should for longevity. I believe in doing it right the first time. I believe with me having the ability to have the control of staying on task with the mandate, I think that chance that this place could have that long-standing sustainability is really at our sights. And I can guarantee you there's no one that would do a better job and actually have the passion to see this thing through like I do. So I'm asking that we continue this journey knowing that you have the right person to move forward. And I know that we'll get this thing going together.
Are we gonna?
If I may, Mayor and Commissioner, and, you know, I would add to what I recommended a minute ago to include, and thank you to Commissioner Williams for jarring my thought process, to have Mr. Mann to present a written plan that could present to the commission, and upon that written plan and payment as identified, contingent on the payment that's identified, it will give you an opportunity to make a decision within 30 days.
That's including the payment?
Yes, sir, including the payment.
I didn't hear him, what he said, I couldn't really hear him.
You didn't hear me?
No.
I said that to include what I recommended initially, with the payments for the rent, utilities, including FP&L, I would also add that, Mr. Mann present a detailed plan of action that I can present to the commission upon payment of these outstanding amounts. And upon that, you would consider, based on his plan, on your decision to move forward or not within the next 30 days.
Right. That should give us enough something to work with. Are there any additional questions? Again, thank you, Mr. Mann.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vick. Appreciate you coming out, man, and hope we can get this resolved. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Excuse me, could I have your full name?
Sure, VICTOR,
Mhm.
Victor, Nappy, NAPPE.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and conclude where we left off as far as the resolutions. I believe we took care of one, and we was reading and had that one read. That was Resolution 2024-23. And at this time now, we'll have the, you go ahead.
Just for the record, Mayor, let me just read it in really
Sure.
quickly. Yeah. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida. This is Resolution 2024-23 of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving change order number 27 as set forth in Exhibit A pertaining to Resolution 2021-02 and the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, Grant Funding Award, Contract G-1753, FM number 442030-01-54-1 Barfield Highway Reconstruction Project, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Manager, could you give us a brief explanation?
Yes, this resolution encompasses the compensation to Rosso Site Development, who's a contractor for Barfield project, for concrete price increases from the time they commenced the project. I'm not sure if we're able to see the overhead, but if not, again, just a little additional backup. This amount was approved by the funding entity, which is the Florida Department of Transportation, which allowed for the $31,347.33. They approved it. It falls within the amount budgeted for the project. And this again is from a standpoint of most of this work has already been done. This is just an attempt for the paperwork to catch up with the project. This was initially recommended several months ago. And again, because of the paperwork and the documents not being tight enough, I refused to bring it to the commission before that was done. If you take a look at your Exhibit 4, the cost analysis, that's somewhere near the very back of your backup. I want to be able to step through that and explain that to you as well. It starts with, it's the title page is Rosso Site Development Exhibit 4. Okay, it's on the projection. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's kind of small. See it okay?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So this invoice, it's segregated into two different categories in terms of the concrete price. The first one identifies the actual sidewalk. And the dates on the left give the dates of the invoice, the total number of cubic yards, and the total invoice, and the dollar amount per cubic yard. The bid per cubic yard is in the first column of the right category of the page. So on December 16, 2022, there was an invoice of $1,572.90 for the cement for the sidewalk. The bid difference is $1,410.62. The city bid was for that amount per 10 cubic. So what you're doing, you're multiplying the bid cubic yard by 10 because it's 10 cubic yards. So when you do that, the difference in that is $156.70. So for this one particular invoice, there was an overrun of $156.70. Now, I'll spare you. I'm not going to go through all of them, but that's just an explanation on how those amounts were calculated. So for the total sidewalk, there's an increase or cost overrun of $22.82.91. That's sidewalk. Now for the curbing that's associated with the sidewalk, there's cement for the curbing as well. And the same thing applies. On 12/13/2022, there was an invoice of $2,208.48. So that breaks down to $169.88. When the city accepted and approved the bid, it was only for $143.76. That runs concurrent on all of these different invoices. The difference again is the amount that was invoiced versus the amount that was budgeted originally. For on that particular date, there was a $339.60 overrun, and that's based on the increase of the price of cement over time. So when you add the curb amount with the sidewalk amount and include the bond and insurance, you come to the total amount that's being requested for reimbursement, which is $31,347.33.
And that's covered by FDOT.
That's covered by FDOT.
I have a question. I know it's covered by FDOT, but I just still have a question. I noticed that the $141.62 came from CMEX. I guess that's the quote that we received from CMEX per cubic yard, but then I noticed that all the invoices came from a different company. So I was just wondering, did that company charge a different price, or they just went by CMEX because that was what we got from CMEX?
No, that didn't have a difference in the pricing. The difference in the pricing comes by way of the increase in the cement. CMEX provided a quote, but they purchased cement from several different companies. So this is just maybe a sub-agreement contract under the CMEX quote, if that makes sense to you.
And I just have one more question. I heard you say that, and I know we're receiving this after the work has been done, and this is just a question that I have, that I've been listening with all these change orders. Is there a process that the city has? Because I notice we seem to pay for change orders after the work is done. And I know they have all of this up there, that we need all of this. And I was just wondering, just for me, so that I can know, we're saying that all of this work is to be done, and I think this question had been asked before. Who from the city, and I know they're saying all this needed to be done, and these are change orders for prices and all of that, and the amounts that's up there. And I was just wondering if anyone from the city vetted to make sure the amounts that they have up there, they're saying all of this is needed, that vetted from the city, because we're getting it after the fact. We don't get it to say, hey, there's going to be a change order. They needed 10 cubic square feet, now they need 18. So I was just wondering if anyone from the city vetted that this is what's actually needed, because we're getting it after the fact, when the work is done.
Good question. And the fact that you're voting on it tonight does does not suggest that you're getting it after the fact. This was requested during the actual construction component part of what's before you. And to further answer your question, we have 3 different entities as a part of this contract. We have the construction company, Rosso Construction. We have DOT, Department of Transportation, and we have the City of Pahokee. DOT, also the City of Pahokee has inspectors on the project. Those inspectors, once the request for reimbursement comes through a change order, the Department of Transportation and the City of Pahokee's engineering inspectors take a look at that request. That request is then sent to the funder, which in this instance is Department of Transportation. The Department of Transportation vets it, takes a look at the numbers, and come back with a yes or no for the City of Pahokee to move forward with the change order request. The change orders that you have before you were all vetted to that degree. They were all signed off by the city engineer, inspector, DOT inspector, and also Department of Transportation inspector, and also Rosso. All of those numbers were looked at, examined, reviewed, and finally presented to the city. Once DOT says, okay, City of Pahokee, it's allowable under the grant agreement, and this is within reason, now you can move forward with the change order. The change order request came years ago. We're just seeing it now because, again, I wanted to make sure that all of the sign-offs were done on all of the contract documents. When I arrived, that was not the case. And my position is that I will not give the commission anything to consider unless it's completely researched, detailed, and presented to you in a way that's presentable. That's my reasoning as well for making sure that the public has an opportunity to look at the numbers, to understand the numbers, and see that these dollars are being used in a way that's presentable to the community.
So there will be a process or a system put in place for change orders, because I know you said they were done years ago, but
It's in place. It's in place now.
okay, thank you.
And everybody's not happy with that.
Okay.
But the contractors want their money, they want it paid, but I say, no, not until we make sure things are right.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Is there a motion to move this resolution?
I move that we accept resolution 2024-23.
It has been moved by Commissioner McPherson Senior and properly,
23.
23?
This is 23.
that's 23, and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner McPherson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolden?
Yes.
Commissioner Cowan Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bab?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passed by unanimous vote. Now we'll move to Resolution 2024-24, City Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving change order number 28 as set forth in Exhibit A pertaining to resolution number 2021-02 and the Florida Department of Transportation FDOT Grant Funding Award Contract G-1753 FM number 442030-01-54-01 in connection with the Barfield Highway Reconstruction Project, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, City Attorney. City Manager, could you give us a brief explanation?
Yes, sir. Likewise, this resolution deals with a change order. It's number 28. It's associated with the maintenance of traffic component of the contract. and it's payable to Rosso Site Development in the amount of $60,094.12. If you flip to, in your backup after the change order number 28, you flip to Rosso Site Development. They're allowed by contract to charge a unit cost of $251.57 per day for maintenance of traffic.
Could you explain exactly, just for clarity, what maintenance of traffic means? Sorry.
Okay. This is a
What it all
cost.
entails, I'm sorry.
Okay. Maintenance of traffic is maintaining the road and driveways. Associated with maintaining for the actual project, they have specific items for the cost that devises, but that doesn't include costs associated with everything else, like maintaining the road. So there are some specifics, and if you take a look at
Management time denied.
It's associated with the barricades and things that was associated with when it was put up. It consists of having someone on the ground to make sure the traffic flow is not interrupted. It consists of anything that's associated with maintaining the traffic during the construction period. So almost every day that they're on the site working, there's a need to have a maintenance of traffic. And the contract allows for, again, a unit cost of $251.57. And there was an amount associated with that initially, provided over a period of time. That amount was exceeded by 234 days, and 234 days at $251.57, bring the total cost of $58,867.38. And when you add the bond and general liability insurance, the balance becomes $60,094.12, which is what you're being considered, what's being considered for tonight for your approval. This again went through that same exact process. Engineer signed off on it, DOT approved the change request, and there's funds in place to pay this amount.
Thank you. City Commission, I'll entertain a motion for the adoption if that's the desire of the commission.
Mayor Bab, I move to accept resolution 2024-24.
A second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Boland and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of resolution 2024-24. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Bolden?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
Commissioner Cowan-Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner McPherson?
Yes.
Mayor Bab?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passed by unanimous vote. That concludes our resolutions. Next on the agenda is new business, presentation by the city manager of activities or upcoming events, if any.
Just want to announce the town hall meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 18th at 6 p.m. During that town hall, there will be updates from community and economic development, cemetery, and finance. I would also like to thank staff and everyone associated with the fireworks, PDSO. Got a tremendous amount of positive feedback from the community during the fireworks last week. I've heard things that it's been the best one yet. A lot of planning went into it. There's room for improvement, but I think overall it was a huge success for the community. That's it.
Thank you. And we have the report of the mayor. I'll be very brief. Just want to thank our public safety officials, our Palm Beach County Sheriff Department, and our fire rescue. We have the chief of fire rescue here, which is always a pleasure, Lieutenant Adam and his staff. Y'all do a great job. We don't tell you that often, but we certainly appreciate everything that you do. And all the events that we have in our community, you're always present and always provide services for us. So thank you so much for that. Okay. I'm going to talk just briefly about our teams. The governor signed a bill that allocated $500,000 for swimming lessons for low-income families and children under the age of 4. The swimming lesson voucher program, Senate Bill 544, requires that the Florida Department of Health to create a program to establish a network of swimming lesson instructions in each of the counties to offer voucher for free swimming lesson to low-income families. There have been 60 drowning in Florida so far this year, and drowning deaths are the top death for children ages 1 to 4. So we're just asking everyone to be aware of the danger of swimming and to have everyone under the age of 4 to be able to take swimming lessons. So for additional information, you can go to www.watersmartflorida.com. I also received a letter from the Florida League of Mayors. In this package here, there's 4 coins that I'll be giving out, and the guidelines for the Florida League of Mayors to give out the challenge coin would be to give out the coins on your own discretion. Give out each coin to someone that have accomplished something that is significant, that goes above and beyond. And because of the quantity of the coins is limited, hand out the coin for a significant reason so that it would not be diminished to the value of the coin. So I have 4 coins. So anyone that we know of that have done something beyond and above, we would try to recognize on a monthly basis until the 4 coins are gone. They don't have to be staff, it could be someone from the community, as long as done in a significant way. Just wanted to share that with you. And quickly, the Palm Beach County students have seen a state test score improvement from last year in reading and mathematics. I think it's 4 grades that take the test. I think it's the 4th grade, the 7th grade, and the 10th grade. And in math, there was a slight lag from last year's scores, but we want to congratulate the Palm Beach County School District and the students for their accomplishment in increasing their scores this year. Also, the Tri-City Education Committee will be meeting with the school board superintendent of schools on Thursday to get an update on the grading system and the scores as it relates to Palm Beach County School District. And that would conclude my mayor's report. Next, we'll move to the city manager report.
Nothing else outside of what I've shared.
Thank you. Report of the city attorney.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is for future agenda items of the city commission, if any. And I know Commissioner Kyle Williams had one earlier. You can bring that up at this time.
The one we talked about. A future agenda items is that we, have a workshop, I think we said it earlier, a workshop on all, boards to determine if we want to have any changes made to them.
Are there a second on that?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kyle Williams and properly second by Commissioner Bowden that we have a workshop on the future boards, agenda. Call for questions. Hearing none. Are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Calvin Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowden,
Yes.
Commissioner McPherson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes.
We did.
Are there any other requests?
I have one more, and I don't know, the city manager may can tell me. I know we received, some paperwork when city manager Lucas was here in regards to the developer that's building the apartments. Is it possible we can have them to come in to give an update? Because I know at one point they wanted to have the Head Start that they were gonna build with it removed, so at least can come in and give us some updates in regards to that, if it's gonna still be a part of it, or, I know those documents had come before us, but our attorney had not seen them, so I would just like to know, is that still a part of the project?
Okay. I'll contact them tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
Just a follow-up, I know, last meeting we put on did for future agenda items, but I'm trying to get an understanding. The city managers were saying that he was gonna put those projects I was thinking about future projects for that to be presented to the legislator, and I know one of the projects that I had mentioned was MLK and Citizen Village, the Parks and Rec, and the campground, as far as those vacant, or those sites that are not working to capacity, and in our roads. And another thing that's just on my mind while I'm thinking about it, we have a grant that was presented to us for $250,000 for MLK, and I'm sitting here, I'm listening at some of the projects that we talked about, and we're looking at the difference in the cost. And I think that grant has been approved for approximately 3 years now. And I'm just trying to find out the status of it. And my thing is, if we get a plan in place, we need to go ahead and at least put those $250,000 toward those projects. I don't know if we're gonna put that on the agenda item, so we can, go ahead and put that on the agenda item so we can look at maybe trying to see how we can go in and spend that money, because the cost is not gonna go down.
Okay.
And could you just elaborate a little bit about how you was gonna do, you was talking about the projects earlier in your presentation.
I've provided, I think most of the other members of the commission has this, but except the two most recent ones, but I'll resend it to everyone. It's the schedule of capital improvements, and under the schedule of capital improvements, they have different projects, and there are various different projects. Some are resurfacing, some deals with McClure, Larimore reconstruction, Royden Avenue. All of these are identifiable projects that some are pending, some are just in the conceptual stage. We have anticipated dollars amount for each component of what we've submitted, and I was hoping to use this as a conversation starter to kind of do a planning session around developing a priority from the commission, from this current commission. And once we develop the priority, we can begin going to the legislature and also other funding sources to make these a reality. I have a copy for you as well, Commissioner Colin Williams.
Okay.
And I'll resend the copies to the other members of the commission, so you'll have that as a guide. So what will probably work better, my recommendation would be to workshop this as well and get some direction from the commission, and from that direction we'll develop resolutions around making these things a reality.
Just for information purposes, could you check on those $250,000 that we have for MLK so we can try to,
Yes.
like I say, the cost of things are not going down. That money's not gonna go as far as it would have went 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
Are there any other agenda items for future agenda items? I would have one. I would like for us to have for a future agenda item the appointment. Again, this is the consensus of the majority of the commission that we appoint Ms. Clark as our permanent city clerk. She has a city clerk position, credentials. She have been a city clerk before. She have been assistant city clerk before. So we have someone well qualified to be the permanent city clerk, unless this commission feel we need to go out and advertise and interview for this position, which I undoubtedly don't think so, but I'm not sure. So I'll move that to be on our future agenda items for that appointment. And could I get a second? And
I'll second.
has been moved in second. Call for questions. Hearing none.
Yes. I just don't want to make sure that we don't get away from processes that we're trying to put in place as far as putting in resumes, because we don't, I know she's qualified and I'm not knocking anything. This is not personal against Eileen, but I think we need to try to get processes in place and stick to them.
Okay. But normally, yeah,
That's just my
yeah.
comment.
I won't say it outside the process, but normally when you got a staff on board that qualified and have done a role, you don't normally go out and interview. You don't normally, but you can. But so I'm just making that a point that we're not really deviating from our normal practices of hiring and interviewing for positions. I definitely don't want to get away from that part of it. So I think it's still within what we have done consistently in the past.
But I believe that's been a prior practice, and I think we were trying to get some new practices put in place as far as interviews. And I'm not knocking and not saying that she's not qualified for the position, but we need to put processes in place so we can be.
Okay. In addition, question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab?
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowden?
Yes.
Commissioner McPherson?
Yes, it's just going on the agenda, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
Thank you, City Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passed by unanimous vote. This is, as Commissioner McPherson indicated, is for a future agenda item to be considered on there.
Yes,
Thank you. Now we'll move to general public comments, and we do have one person on. I don't know if we have any comments card completed.
No, sir.
Thank you. Next will be the commissioner comments for the good of the order, and I'll start with Commissioner McPherson, and we'll move our way back to the right.
Yes, just an update. We've had our first audit selection committee meeting. I think it went well. There are some things that, we're trying to put in place, and once the attorney, we make sure that we try to include the attorney in everything that we're doing as far as moving forward. Even before we put it out for bid, that's going to be one of the things that we're going to make sure that goes before the attorney. Just want to keep you abreast of, the rest of the commission abreast of what's going on as far as that committee. It was a little bit tedious and a lot of reading, but, and with the guidance of the attorney and the city manager and putting the presentation together, and it was a productive meeting.
Commissioner Bowden?
I guess I can start by echoing, what Mr. Jackson mentioned. I was up on the marina with my daughter, and I want to tell you guys, people were cheering and clapping after this fireworks show, and our citizens really enjoyed it. It was really nice being out there with them to see how happy they were to have such a good show. It's the best we've seen in a while. Also, I know we don't get a chance to do this often, but I want to thank you guys. I've been absolutely happy with the maturity and level of professionalism that's been displayed from this dais. I think this is something that our community really wants, and they want to continue to see. So thank you all for your service and your professionalism and maturity on the dais. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kyle Williams.
I just have one announcement. July 1st, the My Safe Florida home program, the $20 million that the governor put in place to help hurricane-proof your house, where you can get impact windows, doors, shutters, roofs. You can go to My Safe Florida, which is flhome.com. So they're going to be looking at the first round. They're going to be looking at senior citizens first, 60 plus. So from July the 1st to July the 15th, they're going to start with the senior citizens. So residents, if you have any family members that is in need of those services, go to mysafeflhome.com, and you have to register first to make an account. And then once you make an account, you go on and you hit application, and it'll take you through a process, and it takes about not even 5 minutes to complete. And then after that, they're going to start looking at everyone else. They have categories of where they're going to start looking at everyone else. So I just wanted to put that information out so that they can go ahead and start with that first. Thank you, and have a good night.
Vice Mayor Murphy.
Just have one question to the city manager. Did you give an update on the extension of the audit? You did that last commission meeting, you know, you was checking on the extension. We were approved for the extension for the audit.
Yes, by default. And
Okay.
I say by default mean we didn't receive an official extension, but with the legislature starting at a particular time this year, they won't be able to review or, which includes approve or deny the audit until, the 2023 audit until late November, early December. So
Yes.
we won't even be considered until December.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, there was even for the 2023 audit, we have some specific deadlines and stuff that's set in place so we can try to get all of that stuff done as far as the audit committee, selection committee is concerned too. As far as even putting it out for bid, and we have some strict deadlines that we have.
And they say
written
no
in it.
published kind of day is next month also. So the list of priorities, so we will have a workshop prior to going up to Tallahassee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And could I'm sorry, request for permission to just add one more thing. Just observance, and we're doing better, and I agree with Mr. Jackson on the fireworks show. That, I mean, it was, I went to it, and it was one of the better ones I've seen in a long time. But I think there was a lot of missed opportunities that we miss when we have those events like that, because my mind was thinking about that would have been a prime day like the 4th of July. We could have had a car show, motorcycle show, as well as try to get community involvement as far as bringing the different vendors, and we could have even offset some of the monies that we made, that we could have offset. And then we need to look in the future to make sure that our economic and development address these issues and really reach out to the community to really make these things and help us capitalize on some of the resources, and because it would help. I know we spent quite a bit for the fireworks, but it would kind of help, even with events like that, it would help offset the cost of those type of things.
And normally, I believe the Hill Foundation, they normally contribute like $10,000 toward it. I don't know if that occurred this year, maybe it did, I'm not sure. And the other part of that is, you know, we should always encourage our committees who's a part of special events to be part of that, so they can have an opportunity to expand these services that we normally try. I know Belle Glade, not pointing the finger at anybody, they do a rodeo show And we did something like you say last year where you had vendors and other events. Sometimes with the limited staff, it's kind of difficult, but if you plan it in a timely period,
manner.
it can be done. Yes.
And not just that, you know, I even been sitting back and just observing, even when I look at Cinco de Mayo and our Juneteenth celebration, we need to get more community engagement and involvement in those type of things. Because even when I look at the Juneteenth, our program was at 2 o'clock in the day. I'm pretty sure a lot of those kids' parents was probably working and could even go see their own child. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that, but we need to extend that to the community so we can have more of a.
Point well taken, and I agree with what you shared and what others have shared. Just for informational purposes, we had commitments for, I think, 6 vendors that for the 4th of July, which all 6 backed out at the last minute. But as we increased activity through our boards and other community-related operations, and partnering with existing companies or agencies that's doing similar work, it expands our ability to provide a more fuller product. So I'm encouraged that the boards that are being brought back to bear will have an active role in a lot of the things that we talk about, specifically as it relates to what we're talking about, that special events advisory committee could play a major role. And my goal is to reach out and find out the successes, what made the Centennial Group so successful in their efforts, and try to encourage some of those people to become active again or to get involved in future events.
And before we conclude, I just have one other question. The Human Resource Director, where are we at on that? Are we getting any applicants in for considering to interview, or what's the status there?
Yes, I was hoping to get a larger pool. It's still been advertised, and we have, I think, 6 applicants that meet the basic requirements, and we're going to be scheduling interviews. I think I mentioned the last time we're going to only be interviewing for the human resources position and also public works. We interviewed last week for public works. We interviewed for 4 positions, and we're waiting on the background information to come back. But we should be advertising within the next week and a half, 2 weeks for the human resources person.
At this time, having all our business completed, I'll entertain a motion for the adjournment of our meeting.
I move that the motion be adjourned. I mean, the meeting be adjourned.
It is a move by Commissioner Kyra
I'll second.
Williams, second by Vice Mayor Mervin. Call for question, hearing none, ready for vote. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Calvin Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolden,
Yes.
Commissioner McPherson,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, meeting is adjourned at 9:05 p.m.